I'm really excited to be here today to talk about some of the learnings that I have had having worked with some of the best product-led companies out in the industry. So I'm going to share a couple trends that I'm seeing that I believe are going to power the future of products, and hopefully trends that you can all take with you as you go back to your day jobs and start to create great product experiences. As I just mentioned, my name is Justin Bauer. I'm the VP of Product at Amplitude. And like many product leaders, I've had quite a varied road to where I've ended up in product. My career actually started in data science, actually before we even called it data science. I was technically an econometrician back then. And then decided to figure out how to apply these skill sets I had learned to the world of business. And that's what brought me to McKinsey and Stanford. And that is actually where I got the product bug. And have been leading products ever since. I've worked in enterprise B2B like I do today. I've also worked in consumer. I've done healthcare and gaming. And it's been great to see the evolution of how we build products. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. But before we do that, I want to do a fun little exercise. Does anyone know where this picture is from? Yes, exactly. So those of you who don't know, I'm going to give you some clues on how we took this photo. It started with us literally shooting a rocket into space, and that rocket separated itself and traveled millions of miles before it got close to the atmosphere of this foreign planet. It then was able to navigate itself onto the surface safely and could create an amazing photo like this. Now think about the technology that was required to be able to accomplish this. I mean, this is literally maybe one of the most impressive technological feats that we've ever done as a human race. And these are the types of technology that we have on planet Mars. And yet, when we come back to planet Earth, our best products still look something like this. I am guessing that James here didn't want to be reminded that this was the highlight of his year. Our productivity software doesn't understand things as simple as months. And even when our products have all the data they need about us, they still make some of the wrong decisions. I'm guessing Sean doesn't want to go back to his previous job. Nor does Finette need to be reminded how to use a product that she's been a power user of for over a decade. Now, these are obviously all funny examples, but as creators of product experiences, we've probably all done things like this today. And so the question that we wanted to ask ourselves is, why are our products not better? At Amplitude, our mission is to help companies build better products. And so we believe it is really important for us to answer this question. And so we took a step back. We talked to industry leaders and asked them, what does good look like? What are you doing to create great product experiences? And from that, we discovered that there are 3 key trends that I believe are the future of building great product. Now, these are not going to be mind-blowing trends about what product's going to look like in 2030, but instead what we believe every successful company needs to bring with them to build great product in 2020. And if you're not doing this, then you're falling behind. The first trend is an actual redefinition of what a product is. We believe in 2020, we need to define product as an end-to-end experience captured digitally and for real this time. Companies need to start treating their digital journey as a product, not as a disjoint set of experiences and channels. Yes, you've got web, you've got app, you've got email, you've got push, but when you think of them as separate things, you end up delivering a disjoint experience to your customers. And in the end, you're shipping your org chart. And that means that you're not going to be able to compete with companies that think about it holistically, that treat the entire experience like it is a product. I want to share a great example of what this looks like out in the field. So here's a quote. Give everyone a couple seconds to read this quote. So what company do you think this came from? Is this like some tech conglomerate like Amazon? Or maybe it's some new age startup in the retail space that's thinking about this omnichannel experience? Right? No, it's actually neither of those. This is from the head of digital at Nike. Nike, one of the premier brand companies, is now thinking about what does it mean for us to deliver our experience as a product to our customers. And if you have ever been into one of the recently launched Nike stores, you might actually know what this can look like. Because this year, Nike launched a set of these stores that actually integrated the experience from their app into that in-store experience. So how did that work? It starts with the application. So if you use the Nike app, it's a pretty simple e-commerce app. So you can browse goods, you can make a purchase, you can have it shipped to your home. But the moment that you walk into the Nike store, it now becomes a whole different experience. The first thing that happens is that you're welcomed in the store, and based on your loyalty, offered discounts on your purchase. You can easily see where items are that you've browsed in the past in the store. You can walk around, you can scan different items, and when you go to the fitting room, they'll actually bring those items to you. If you got the wrong size, it's pretty straightforward. Just let them know in the app. They'll bring you the right size. And when you leave the fitting room, someone meets you right there, walks alongside you, and with a simple tap or swipe, you're able to make your purchase and be on your way. That is a company thinking about the experience that they are delivering to their customers as an end-to-end product experience. Now, to do this, that means we have to start thinking differently about the outcomes that we are trying to drive. And what we're seeing is that the second trend, companies are now starting to optimize for lifetime value. Now, we've been talking about lifetime value as a concept for a while. But what is now starting to happen is that companies are thinking about building products that purely drive a recurring relationship with their customers versus a single purchase. And we're seeing this in every single industry. So start with retail, and you'll take a company like Peloton. Yes, Peloton obviously sells a bike, so that's a first-time and one-time purchase. But the reason why Peloton has been so successful is because they're actually thinking about that recurring relationship. And that's the reason why, through their application, they've been able to have a 96% annual retention of their subscribers. It's because they think about it as an end-to-end digital experience focused on lifetime value. Or maybe media. So Disney recently launched a direct-to-consumer product. Is the fastest growing direct-to-consumer media product in the history of the planet. And this is, for them, a new experience focused on that recurring relationship. And we're also seeing this happen in B2B. A great example in B2B is one of my favorite companies, which is Intuit. How many people here have used an Intuit product? Like Mint, TurboTax, QuickBooks. You're among the 50 million people that use these products regularly. The story that I want to share is a story about Intuit QuickBooks. So the QuickBooks team was thinking about how can we go from thinking about a single experience that we're delivering to our customers to being focused on the long-term success and value that we provide to customers. And one of the insights that they had is that for their customers, which are mostly SMBs, in the end, there's about 15 to 20 apps that these companies use day to day. Now, Intuit has 3 to 4 of those. And so part of their strategy could be, how about we figure out how to do the 5th or the 6th? But instead, they realized that while that might improve their revenue in the short run, if they're thinking about lifetime value in the long-run relationship with their customers, instead what they should do is open up their platform and actually start to let in other products have access to their customers. Some of these products are actually competitive products. And in fact, it wasn't just products, but actually service professionals as well, which originally for them were actually what they were trying to disrupt. You didn't have to go to a service professional anymore. You could use their product. They now started to bring service professionals into the experience. And by doing that, they saw pretty impressive returns for their customers. If you connect to a service professional within Intuit QuickBooks, you see a 31-point improvement on retention. This is not a percentage improvement. Point, meaning that if you're, let's say hypothetically, they're around 25% retention, that means they over doubled that retention overnight. It was a pretty spectacular change and improvement to their business. And their CIO credits this to the ability for them to break down silos, work cross-functionally around a shared goal. That goal being lifetime value and a series of drivers of metrics that drove lifetime value. And the end result is that Intuit sees a 4-to-1 LTV to CAC ratio. For every dollar they invest, they get 4 back in the lifetime of that user, and this is only going to grow because of changes like that. Great example of a company thinking about how they can deliver a different experience centered around driving lifetime value. And to do that, we're going to see how we organize change. We need to deliver these end-to-end experiences, we now have to start working together cross-functionally. Now, many people here probably have experienced the first part of this, right? Growth literally is an example of marketing and product coming together cross-functionally to deliver an end-to-end experience. It's not just happening within growth. We're seeing it in other functions as well. We're seeing user experience teams become customer experience teams and thinking holistically about what that broader experience is. One of the fun things that I like to do in Amplitude is actually can look at who are the users that use Amplitude and what are their titles and how is that changing over time. So I recently pulled a set of titles from our customers. And some of these are titles you might expect, like Growth Analyst, Growth PM. But some of them are actually titles I'd never heard of before. So things like Personalization Product Manager, Director of Retention, Data Governor. Like these are new titles that are emerging. And all of them speak to the cross-functional nature that is occurring within our organizations to help us be able to deliver these end-to-end experiences. OK, so these are three of the trends that we believe are critical for companies today to be successful in 2020, to ultimately build a better product experience. And so we can take these trends and then start to think about how do they apply towards the question we asked, right? Why are products not better? And what are the changes that we can make to take advantage of these to build great product experiences? It starts with making sure that you have high-quality data, right? If we're going to actually build an end-to-end experience, that means that we need to be able to represent that end-to-end experience in the data that we are analyzing. But it can't just be data that you're piping into some data lake, right? It needs to be high-quality and well-governed data. And this is only becoming more critical as our experiences become more and more end-to-end. The way the world used to work is that we had very simple funnels. You get an email sent, email open, someone redeems a coupon, they add to a cart, make a purchase. Pretty straightforward. But as many of you in the room here probably know, this is actually not how most of our experiences look. In fact, they actually look more like this, right? This is the multi-channel, multi-experience, multi-platform, multi-product type of world that we now live in. And if you're not investing in the quality of how you're actually tracking and governing this data, it's going to be really hard for you to actually understand these journeys. So that's step number one. And then once you understand these journeys, you can now create your own growth engine. How are you evaluating the different ideas, releases, and experiments to ensure that you're figuring out what are the winners, doubling down on those, and culling the losers? A recent study by Stanford and Microsoft, they looked at a bunch of different ideas, releases, campaigns that the company overall had done, and tried to figure out how many of them were successful versus not. And they found out through this study that most ideas will fail to show value. In this example, it ended up being about a third of them actually destroyed value, a third had no value, and 1/3 improved the results. Now here's the little secret. It's really hard to predict which of these are going to be the winners versus the losers up front. None of these ideas, before they released them or launched them, did they think were bad ideas. And in fact, it is really hard for us to predict that. And so instead, it is about how quickly can we figure out which ones are going to fail so that we can stop focusing our energy and resources on those and double down on the ones that are actually working. And so that is what we call the growth engine, where you can drive systematic growth focused on understanding the impact that these ideas have on lifetime value. OK, so these are definitely two core building blocks to building product, but it feels like we're still missing something. If we go back to the experiences that we talked about earlier, right, it wasn't just about this. It feels like something was missing, and the thing that was missing is what we call context. The reason why all these experiences failed is because they were not contextually aware. They lacked user preference context, user state context, and real-world context. And with that context, we can actually deliver delightful experiences versus delivering these frustrating experiences to our customers. Give another example of that. So let's go into another industry, one that isn't always thought about as being a delightful experience. Let's talk about car insurance. So we think about how car insurance started. You know, it started as being physically accessible. So you could go to a store, could literally go to a room, talk to an agent, figure out different products they have, make a purchase. Then you had the advent of the internet. Now you could actually start to learn more about the products online. And if the company was pretty advanced, maybe you could even buy an insurance product directly from their site. We then went from being digitally accessible to digitally interactive with the advent of mobile. So not only could you buy that insurance product, but you can now interact with that insurance product. You could file a claim. You could call a tow truck. Great experiences. But at the end of the day, if you look at this evolution of change, it's really just that the experiences are the same. They're just more they went from physical to digital and accessible to interactive. But in today's era, we can now start to think about completely new experiences that we might be able to deliver to our customers based on the context that we have. And a great example of this is a company called Metromile. Anyone here customer of Metromile? A couple people know it, a couple customers. So Metromile, great product company. And basically how it works is you pay for the insurance that you use. So you install a dongle in your car, and then they basically track how many miles you're driving, and you're only paying for that insurance. But with that data, they can provide so much more than just a standard insurance product. They can do things like track and optimize your trips, monitor your car's health, and my favorite, they can even warn you before you're about to get a parking ticket. That is a delightful experience, and one that I had never gotten from my insurance company before. I think a great example of thinking about how to build a product experience focused on the digital journey and lifetime value. And with that, if we change the experiences that we deliver to our customers, if they become more contextual and customized, we're going to hear words like them being reliable. And as they become more familiar with us, they're going to be personal, trustworthy, dependable. These are the types of words that we want our customers to be using when they describe the experiences that we're delivering to them. And we believe that with these building blocks, there's an opportunity to do this. So we can now add the third component to this chart. We can go from high-quality data to systematic growth to finally ensuring that our experiences are contextually aware, building upon the two former building blocks. This is what we call product intelligence. Product intelligence to us is the system that enables you to track and maintain high-quality data. I cannot stress enough that this investment will be worth its weight in gold if you actually take the time to set up an actual governance program to think about how you manage your data. That then will pay off returns when you create your growth engine. Right? How do you actually measure systematically the ideas and experiments and releases that you have to ensure that you understand how many of them are driving success, the winners, versus those that are the failures. And then finally, start to take advantage of this understanding of your users to bring context into your product experience and create a delightful experience for them that they will want to talk about and share with other people. Like I said, we call this product intelligence, and we believe that this is the future of building great product experiences. If you're interested in learning more about how companies are doing this, Amplitude talks to a lot of companies, works with a lot of companies that do this, and so you can find myself or my colleagues that are outside, happy to talk more about this, to share some of the stories that we're hearing. You can also hit me up on Twitter. And with that, I will thank you for having me.